In this section, we will talk about model robustness. In the last section, we have seen how awesome these large-scale transformer models are and how pre-training allows us to reach great performance improvement. And in fact, on this GLUE benchmarks, which consists of a range of natural language understanding tasks, we can see that the top performing model is reaching 90 plus scores, and the human baseline is only 87.1. So if you just look at the leaderboard, the models are achieving superhuman performance. However, what happens in practice once we deploy this model? In many recent works, people have found that these models sometimes make catastrophic errors that doesn't seem to make sense to humans, especially given their high accuracy on the benchmarks. So in this specific example, again, we're looking at the sentiment classification task. So for this sentence, American Air, thank you, we got a different flight to Chicago, which is positive. But if you just change the word Chicago to Dallas, it suddenly becomes neutral. And similarly, in this neutral sentence, if you change Brazil to Turkey, which shouldn't really affect the sentiment of the sentence, but the model prediction becomes negative. So these errors doesn't seem to make sense to humans. Another type of brittleness in these models are revealed by adversarial examples. So adversarial means that there are some perturbations that are imperceptible to humans, but they can cause drastic change in model prediction. So in this example, again, it's sentiment classification. If you just change this word as like terrible to horrific, considered to regarded kids to youngsters, which doesn't really change the meaning. We're basically synonym substitution. But in this case, the model's prediction is flipped from negative to positive, even though the confidence is lower a little bit. But if we deploy this model in production, the prediction would be flipped. Another type of errors here is due to Spiros correlations, which means that there are some superficial heuristics that work for a specific dataset and allows the model to achieve high performance, but this heuristic do not hold in general. Let's consider this example of textual entailment, where the task is to predict whether the premise sentence, such as the banker near the judge saw the doctor, entails a hypothesis sentence, like the banker saw the actor. So in this case, it's entailment relation. Now, ideally, we would like the model to make some logical reasoning by understanding the two sentences. But a heuristic that works here is to just check the word overlap between the premise and the hypothesis. If there's high word overlap, then it's highly likely that it's an entailment relation. Now, obviously, this heuristic doesn't always work. You can easily come up with current examples, such as the doctor visited the lawyer visited the doctor. Obviously, it's not entailed relation. But if we test these high-performing models on these two types of examples, the model achieves almost 100% accuracy on the first type, which can be solved by the heuristics, but very low accuracy on the second type. So this suggests that the model is not really learning to understand the sentence, but instead relying on the heuristics. Now, given that our models are not robust to even slight perturbations of the input sentence, what can we do? Can we still deploy this model in practical applications? So first, I should mention that there are mitigation methods, and it's an active research area. However, so far, the improvement is more or less limited. We cannot just rely on the current mitigation methods. And secondly, scaling up the model does not solve the problems. Although we have seen that scaling up the model gives us lower test error, but it doesn't necessarily improve robustness. So what we should do here is that we need to be aware of the brittleness in the model and really stress test our model before deploying it. In addition, we need to have a good understanding of when the model doesn't work because it might cause unexpected problems, which we will take a look at in the next part.